When we're in relationships, there are times when we have to have difficult conversations, and those conversations can be challenging to figure out how to approach, especially when we need to say things we know the person is probably not going to want to hear. We may go over it a million different ways in our heads of what we need to say. We may ask a friend or someone we trust how they think we should say it. We may even have entered in conversation with the person and had every intention to tell them what we needed to say, but somehow ended up talking around the subject or brought up other less trivial matters that were less important than the matter we really needed to discuss. Holding on to words that lay heavy on our heart will eventually weigh us down to the point that we're hindered in our ability to move forward. We may even find ourselves in a constant state of anxiety or depression. And if we don't unload the message, it will eventually crush our spirit and possibly even the relationship. So when we're feeling so overwhelmed by something that we know we need to say, and it really matters, how do we cut the chatter, say what needs to be said, and get that weight off of our chest? Well, stick around another few minutes and I'll share with you how to walk in the freedom of truth and trust that God will guide us through whatever the outcome. Hi, welcome to You Can Talk. I'm Ruth Finney, and this is a channel solely dedicated to helping you talk your way to healthier relationships. Whether you're married or dating, or if you're struggling to communicate with family or friends or people you work with, then this is the channel that will help you experience some real change. If you're willing to put some simple principles into practice, become a part of the Talk community by subscribing to You Can Talk, and meet me here on Tuesdays for Talk Tips and Thursdays for Talk Lessons. And now you can also join me for Saturday night Talk to Ruth live sessions from 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Come walk with me through the user's manual as we discover some revelations in communication that you can incorporate into your life so that you can talk your way to healthier relationships. One of the things that causes the most damage to relationships are the unspoken words we carry around in our hearts. Our unspoken words of love, appreciation, encouragement, or support, as well as our unspoken words of disappointment, mistrust, anger, and even the resentment that we may have towards the other person. These unspoken words are many times what keeps a continuous disruption to our peace in our relationships, mainly because we feel like we have to hold on to them because of our fears. Our fears that if we speak them, the person may be angry and may even want to cause harm to us. Or we fear that the person will no longer do anything for us, and we may lose some benefit that the relationship is providing if we tell them. However, if we're honest, our biggest fear is whether or not we can accept that this person may no longer trust us because they no longer see us the same, and they may even choose not to continue in relationship with us. And we don't know if we're ready for that or if we can even handle that. So we hold on to those bags of unspoken words that weigh us down physically, emotionally, and spiritually, so much so to the point that we'd rather numb ourselves with our addictions, busy ourselves with other less significant tasks, or just use cover-up lies like I'm okay, there's nothing going on, I'm fine, or well, I do have some things going on, but it has nothing to do with you, so don't worry about it. When we know that that couldn't be further from the truth, because it may have everything to do with them and the words that we need to say to them. Nelson Mandela said that in his lifetime, he learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but our triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. So how do we get brave enough to say the things that need to be spoken, present them in a manner to which they'll be received, and ready ourselves for any potential outcome? Well, let's look at our user's manual and see what instructions our manufacturer has left for us. In Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6, he says, "To be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not leave you or forsake you." When we approach a person in conversation with fear of looming doom and destruction, we are not walking in faith. Faith that the truth we need to bring to light is more valuable to the relationship than the falsehood the enemy wants us to believe that will certainly only cause us more damage. The falsehoods of thinking that we're not loved enough, so what we have to say won't be accepted and will only cause us more harm. Or the falsehoods of thinking that we have no value, so what matters to us, what we want, or what we're being led to do is a dream that will only be thrown aside. But the falsehood that is most damaging is the one where he wants us to believe that we have no purpose. So what right do we have to speak of anything outside of who we've been, where we currently are, or what we're willing to become? Knowing these falsehoods are nothing but the enemy's attempt to keep us shackled in fear should ignite a fight in us to free ourselves so that he will no longer have the power to keep us held captive to these unspoken words. And once we're willing to step out on courage, we have to find our voice of love. 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verses 13 through 14 says, "Be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men." But here's the kicker. He says, "Be strong and let all that you do be done in love." One of the biggest mistakes we make when speaking our truth is blurting out words coated in arrogance. We'll say stuff like, "I need to say this to you and I know you're not going to like it, but I'm going to say it anyway." Meaning, I'm going to say this and I really don't care how it makes you feel. And maybe we don't care, but isn't the point of talking about a matter our attempt to get us to a state of health, or at least an attempt towards healing, or just getting things right? Arrogance is not how our manufacturer wants us to speak the truth. He says in Ephesians chapter 4, verses 1 through 3, that we are to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which we have been called, with all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love, eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. And words spoken in that manner sound more like this. And this can be for business or personal relationship. Because I love you or care enough about the health of our relationship, I have something I want to share with you so you can have full knowledge about who you're entering into a relationship with before making any long-term decisions. Now that's ideal, but we all know that that's not always the case, that someone will be open and honest prior to us entering into something long-term with them. More times than not, these issues present themselves well into a relationship, marriage, or partnership. So how should we approach sharing truth in that case? Well, we can say, I know that you've been under this impression for a while, but I have something that I need to be honest with you about. And because I care about the health of this relationship, I'm no longer willing to keep it to myself. And though this may be coming by surprise, I'm hoping that you'll understand why I felt that it was important for you to know and be willing to at least receive what I have to say. Presenting unspoken words in this manner puts us in a position of humility and allows us to offer our unspoken words with gentleness and in peace. Once we've said what needed to be spoken, we have to prepare ourselves for the gamut of reactions that we may receive, because people may or may not respond in the ways that we think or hope that they will. We have to remove all expectations and make room for God to move. Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 through 7 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Therefore, if we have said our piece and the immediate reaction we receive is not favorable, we have to trust that we've done what we needed to do. From there, we have to ask God to help them to receive our words and make clear to Him our request for the relationship and be at peace for whatever the outcome. They may get angry, feel hurt or betrayed. They may cut us off for a while or completely write us out of their lives. But over time, their hearts may change. And when they're ready, they will come to us with a willingness to talk. And we must again continue to speak truth in the humility of love. But even if they don't ever come to us, we have to trust Romans 8:28, where it says, all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. We have to keep our hearts constantly wiped clear of the enemy's chatter that we made a mistake, that we should have just kept our mouths closed because now we're feeling lonely or disconnected. We may not like how it feels to have things stripped away. We may not understand it, and we may even wish for the outcome to be different. But as long as we're holding on to the chatter that's making us believe that we're in a healthy relationship when we know we're holding on to words that need to be spoken, we'll forever be held captive. And in order to move forward in newness, we have to be willing to cut the chatter that's not elevating us to our purpose. When we stand firm in our faith, continually speak truth through the language of love, and trust that our manufacturer will work everything out for the best interest of all, we make room for our relationships with God, ourselves, and others to reach their highest potential. If you can relate to any or all of these communication struggles and are tired of the seemingly endless cycle of communication barriers that are keeping you from the relationships that you desire to have with others, then become a talker. Subscribe to You Can Talk. Select that notification bell down below and meet me here on Tuesdays for Talk Tips and Thursdays for Talk Lessons. And now Saturday Night Live Talk to Ruth live sessions from 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thanks for watching. And if you would, please hit that like button, leave a comment below, and know that whatever you're committed to working on, I'm rooting for you and praying for you, because you can tame the tongue, approach with compassion, listen deeply, knock down the barriers, and talk your way to healthier relationships. Let your communication be the light of God's love the world so desperately needs to hear. I'll see you next time.